for now. And okay, so what I have, that's a 330, here's a 10K. All right, so I've got my transistor, so grab one of these. This is the BJT type. So grab one of those, not one of the MOSFETs, okay? And let's remind ourselves, there are 3 pins on it, and what are they called? Base, collector, and emitter. Okay, which one's which? The middle is the base. Okay, the left is the collector, and the right is the emitter, if you look at it with the flat surface facing towards you. Obviously, it's backwards if you flip it the other way. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to put that someplace, okay, nowhere particularly special, okay, and then I need power and ground as usual, okay, so let me do, I'll do plus 5 volts to up here and ground to down there. Okay, so that's been similar to what we've done before. Okay, I'm not going to put in an LED here to just show us that the circuit's on. I could, but just to keep things from getting too cluttered, I'll leave that part off. Okay. Okay. Then right now I still have the program working where pin 2 is switching on and off every 1 second. Okay, so that's still running on the Arduino. Whenever you fire it up, plug it in, it remembers the last program it was executing, and then it remembers the last program it was executing and then just runs it from the get-go. Okay, so that's cool, right? Okay, so I'll connect pin 2 here, and I'm going to connect it to the positive rail down here on the bottom for convenience. Okay. Okay, so fine. All right, so then I've got my 2 resistors. Okay, I've got this one, which is the 10K. Now, how do you know what the resistances are? By the little the bands on them. Okay, so where did I put them? Here they are. Well, okay, here's 4 of them. Where did I put the other ones? Okay, here, just I'll pass some of these around. I've got more of these, but I don't remember where I put them, so just kind of rattle around. I had more. I don't remember where I stuck them. Okay, so these are just the little the color schemes for the bands so that you know which resistor is which. But if you're really careful about when you remove components, you immediately put them back in the correct bag, then you shouldn't actually need the thing, the chart, okay? The other solution, and we'll talk about how to use the multimeter later, is you can use the multimeter in resistance mode to measure the resistance. You just put one probe on either side of the resistor, and it will tell you, okay, it's 330 or whatever. That's that, okay? That's particularly handy for 2 reasons. One, you notice those bands are pretty dang small, okay? And so if you have trouble seeing them or the colors present an issue, then obviously the multimeter is the other solution, okay? When you use the multimeter, like it might read 329 or 331 or something instead of 330, so it's not going to be exactly 330, but that's close enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so I've got that, and then so I've got here my 10K, okay, and I'm going to connect the 10K from the pin 2 thing to there, and then I'll just put, and actually, you know what, I'm going to move this transistor down here, just so I don't have to put an extra wire in. That'll just kind of keep it a little cleaner, okay? Okay, good so far? So I've got the 10K connecting pin 2 of the Arduino to the base of my transistor. Okay, good. And obviously nothing's happening right now because we're not done yet. Okay, good. All right, then I'm going to plug plus 5 volts into the collector of the transistor, which is the leftmost pin. Okay, and let me rotate this so you guys can kind of see it. Okay, so plus 5 volts to the collector, that's the leftmost pin. The 10K that's connected to pin 2 is on the base, that's the middle. Okay, and then the third pin, the one on the right, the emitter, I'm going to connect to an LED. Now, for reasons that'll become clear later, I'm going to put the LED way the heck over here. Okay, I'm going to put the positive end on the left, and then I'm going to put the resistor between the negative end and ground. Again, that means I don't need an extra wire when I do this. Okay, and again, nothing's happening because I haven't yet completed the circuit. No, this one's the 330 that's right next to the LED, and this one's the 10K. Okay, so in general, whenever you're using an LED, you just need a 330. Okay, if you used a 10K or with the LED, it would be so dim you wouldn't be able to see it. Okay, so and if you use the 330 with the transistor, you won't burn it out, but it will behave differently than what I said. Yes. Yes, the positive end is the long one, the short end is the negative or ground side. Okay, so you guys remember that? And then in our diagrams that are in the notes, how do you know which end's which? Yeah, the little fritzing is the program I use to make that. The end that's got the bend in it is the positive one. Okay. Okay, good so far? All right, so the last thing I need to do is I'm going to connect the emitter of my transistor, okay, over to the positive side of my LED, and this will complete the circuit. Okay, and what should I see happen? Okay, what's happening to the light? I know it's not really easy to see on the camera, but yeah, okay, it's blinking once per second, and that's exactly what pin 2 is doing. Okay, so we got it to that state. Yes, hopefully? You're going to find out. Excellent. Okay. So find out. Okay. And so actually, Brad, still use your computer because we, in a minute, we're going to change the program. Yeah. transistor against none of the LED. Okay, so if this doesn't work after you troubleshoot all of that sort of stuff, these LEDs, they do occasionally just stop working. Okay, it happens. And if it does, just throw the thing away. Well, verify that it's not working. Just throw it away. Okay, I buy these things by the hundreds. So, if a part fails, just toss it. Okay. Okay, so, make sense? All right, so the next thing I want to do is I want to go into my Arduino software. Okay, and I'm just going to make kind of a minor modification. So let me open the circuit from last time, or the program from last time. Okay, and in this case, what were we doing? What was our program doing to the pins? Or pin in this case? All it was doing is turning it on and off once a second. Okay, I'm going to add a second pin to this, and therefore how many combinations am I going to need? I'll need 4. They both could be off, they both could be on, one could be on, the other off, and there's obviously 2 ways that could be arranged. Okay, so I need to pick another pin to be as an output, and so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this line, okay, and I need to pick a different pin, obviously. I'm going to pick pin 4. There's nothing wrong with pin 3, but by skipping one, it just gives you a little bit more space. When you're plugging in the wires, makes it a little easier, okay? So, exact same line of code, except it's pin 4 this time instead of pin 2. Yay. Okay, is that part okay? Okay, then down here, what I want to do is I need to make a full second or full copy of this whole thing. Okay, actually, you know what? Let me change. Well, I'm not going to change it to 4. I'm going to add one of these. Okay, and so let's do this in a logical order. Let's do both on, and then I need to make this one a 4, obviously. Okay, let's do both on, then one on, the other off. Okay, and then I'm going to copy the whole kit and caboodle, and I'll do this one off and that one on, and then both of them off. Okay, so I've got all 4 combinations of both pin 2 and pin 4 being on and off. Okay, and I didn't mess it up, did I? Are we good? Okay, so it's basically the same program as what we had, just with a little bit of extra stuff. Okay? Yeah, well, okay, so if you run this code on the Arduino, it won't, well, it'll look a little different, but we're not currently using pin 4 in our circuit. We're about to. Okay, so does that make sense? We know. Okay, now the exact order that you put these 4 combinations in doesn't really matter because it's just going to cycle through them, but just pick an order and just make note of what it is because that'll be important here in a minute. Okay, all right, so is that okay for right now? All right, so what are we going to do to modify our circuit? What I'm going to do is I need to connect pin 4 to this whole thing, okay? And what I'm going to do there is I'm going to use this wire to connect from pin 4. Oh, sorry. You mean you guys can't see through things? Okay. All right, so this blue wire I've got to pin 4, and I'm going to use the negative rail up at the top for pin 4. Okay. So now I'm using all 4 of the rails. Okay. I've got plus 5 volts there, pin 4 here, pin 2 there, and ground at the bottom. Okay, is that okay? So, yeah, it does kind of, maybe I should get a better angle on it. Oops. Okay, so does that give you maybe a little bit better of an angle? Okay. Okay, so when you run this code, so let me upload this code, you're not really going to notice much being different except, okay, so just 1 second while it uploads. Oh, okay, and that just means, all right, if you get an error, then all you have to do is change the port. Why am I getting that? Oh, okay, wrong board. I need to change that to an Arduino Uno. Okay, so let's try that again. Okay, so now if I go back over to the board, it's running the new code. What do you notice about the blinking at this point? Okay, in this case, it actually looks the exact same, okay? And the reason is, look at our code. Pin 2, or sorry, no, it is slower. It should be on for 2 seconds and then off for 2 seconds, okay? Just because of the order that we chose for the turning them off and on, okay? But otherwise, it's the exact same thing, okay? Sweet? Okay, so now I've got this real long yellow wire. I'm going to pull that for right this instant. Okay, so obviously nothing's going to work. And I'm going to add a second transistor. Okay, so I'm going to add a second transistor. And I'm going to put it kind of in the middle there. Okay. And what else do I need for this? If I'm going to continue wiring this up. I need a second 10K resistor. Okay, so grab one of those. Okay. All right, where am I going to put this 10K resistor? You could take a picture of this. Okay, so where should this 10K go? Just 1 second, Thomas. To the base. Okay, so I'm going to connect this minus side there to the base. Okay, now it's not really minus, it's just labeled as such, but that's the pin 4 rail. Okay, Thomas, you had a question? Oh, well then you fail. I would love to. Yeah, just give me 1 second. Okay, so I've got the second transistor in. Okay, I've got the 10K connected to it, and then all I need are 2 more wires. So I'm going to connect the emitter of the transistor over to my LED, kind of like I had it before. Okay, And you'll notice that it is blinking a little bit, but it's kind of dim. That's because I'm not done yet. Okay? And then, this is where it's going to get fun, I'm going to connect the emitter of the first LED to the collector of the second LED.
And what goes putting these two transistors together?
That I'll explain more thoroughly in a moment.
Okay.
All right, so.
Yeah, so what happens is you get an input from 2 and then an input from 4. And one of them must theoretically is a transistor that goes in there. Because one's going through 1, the other's going through 2. Yeah, pin 2 is mostly 2 resistors. That's why it's
Mm. That is kind of actually not the way it's supposed to be. Oh, okay. I see the issue. I think I've actually got the wrong resistor in one of these. Oh, sorry. Yeah, okay. So, oh, it's just over there. I'm not using it yet. So, let me just show you real quick how to use the multimeter, because I think I grabbed one of the wrong resistors by accident. Okay, so if you open up the multimeter, you'll see this, okay? And you see how I've got the red plug on the right-hand thing and the black one in the middle? Depending on which mode you're using it in, you have to plug them into different positions. Okay, let me scoot this out of the way for the moment. Okay, so I've got my sus resistor here that I may or may not throw out the airlock in a moment. Oh, come on, I don't get anything for that one. Okay, then I'm going, so I've got my multimeter plugged in. I'm going to, and actually on y'all's, if you flip it around, there's a little plastic pull tab. Pull the pull tab out. Yeah, yeah. Okay, and then there's the plastic pull tab on the back of the battery compartment, so just pull that out so it'll actually work. Okay, and then I'm going to turn my knob here over to the resistance side, which has the Greek omega, and I'm going to turn it to the 20K setting. Okay, so if I'm on the 20K setting and I have a 10K resistor, what should the reading be? 0.5. Okay, or about 0.5. All right, then I'm going to take my probes and put one on one side and one on the other, and okay, so what do I get? Or not 0.5, it should be 10. Okay, so this is a 10K resistor. Okay, what about this other one? Well, if I can get the probes on here. You have no idea. Okay, come on. You here, you here. It's because I don't have a good connection. Damn it, stay. Ah, that's why. Okay, what is this second transistor that I have? No. I'm in 20K mode, and it's reading basically 0.1. Okay? This should be a 1K. Okay, so I've got the wrong one here. I'm not sure how I managed to mess that up. All right. So I've got another one which I'm pretty sure is correct, so let me just test it real quick. Okay, that's a 330. So my baggies are. Can I just borrow a 10K from somebody so we can keep this shit moving? And I will enjoy these, so don't worry. Okay, so let me fix this. So I had this one here. Okay, hang on one second. I'll explain it. And then this one here. Okay, this should not be happening. Oh, duh. Okay, sorry. I'm forgetting one piece. Coffee is not kicked in. Okay, let me make one minor addition here, and I'll explain what that is in a moment. Yes, okay, now it's correct. Okay, so I'm going to draw on the board a circuit diagram, and I'm going to highlight what the one piece that I just forgot. Okay, so there are actually 4 resistors here, okay? And it was the third one that or the fourth one that I forgot. So, I need 2 10Ks. What are the 2 10Ks used on? The bases of the 2 transistors, okay? So we're good with that, right? So those 2 10Ks are this one and this one. Okay? All right, we're good with that. I also have a 330 because I'm using an LED. Right? I don't want to burn the thing out. Okay, so we all got the LED. Yes? Okay. And then finally, the one that I forgot, so let me draw a picture up on the board. Or actually, you know what? Let me be smart about this and use the technology that I spent lots of money on. Okay, so I'll do even better. I'll draw it on the iPad, and then guess what will happen on the screen? You guys will be able to see it, and it'll be on the recording for later. Isn't that great? Okay, so now let me plug this in and switch this to iPad Auto. Okay, so I'll go back to the circuit in a minute. Okay, so here's basically the diagram of the circuit we made. Okay, we have pencil. Oh, come on, you. One moment, please. Technical difficulties. Okay, there we go. Okay. So, what do I have? I have plus 5 volts, okay, and I'm going to connect that to a transistor. So, the transistor, this is its diagram, okay, and there are 3 pins on it. Okay, what are those 3 pins? The base, collector, and the emitter, okay, and they're in this order: the base, the collector, and the emitter. Okay, the first transistor, oh, damn it, if I would, I'm sorry guys, I'm clearly not with it this morning. They'll hire just anybody to teach here. Okay, let's try this again, shall we? Okay, this is the base, this is the collector, and this is the emitter. Okay? So I got plus 5 volts to there, and then I'm coming out the emitter. All right, then I've got pin 2 connected to the base, but what do I have in between? I've got a resistor, and the diagram for a resistor is just sort of a jaggedy line, okay? And it's a 10K resistor. Okay, so we good? Okay, so then what did we just add? We added basically the same thing, and a second transistor, okay? Like so. Okay, now I'm not done with the diagram. What else do I need? My LED, okay, which I connected to the emitter, and so the diagram for an LED is basically an arrow with things like that because it's a diode. So it's a diagram for a diode, and then it's got the little arrows coming off of it to indicate that it's an LED. Okay, so this is my LED. And then I had to have a resistor before I went to ground. Okay, and the symbol for ground is basically 3 little lines that get narrower as you go to the bottom. Okay, so that's what we fired up a second ago. And you guys noticed that the light was bright at some stages, but kind of dim at the others. And the dimness was because I forgot the 4th resistor. Okay, which needs to go from here to ground. And that one is a 1K. Okay, so that's, you do. Okay, so you guys, remember in class last time I was handing out components? Well, okay, I finished getting everything in the bags, so you should have a 1K bag in there, and a whole bunch of other stuff too that wasn't in your buckets last time. Okay, so grab a 1K. Then I screwed up. Yeah. Like I said, they'll just hire anybody to teach here. It's really pathetic. Okay, now I should mention, by the way, I do have extras of all of these things, okay? And so if, I mean, I've counted out enough that you shouldn't need extra parts, but like, let's say you accidentally break one or an LED burns out or something, it does happen. Just toss it and grab another one when you need it, okay? Okay, so that's the circuit diagram. Okay, and let me come around and look at the actual implementations of it to make sure that
It's I was looking at it too. I was like, that's it. It should be just yeah. It works. He's got two.
All right, let me come back up to my circuit. Um, okay, not everybody seems to be working quite right, so we'll have to do some diagnosing. Okay, but let's just make sure that I have the thing the way I said I did. Okay, so let me kind of turn it a little bit so it's easier to see. Okay, so checklist. Do we have plus 5 volts? Okay, do I have ground? Okay, do I have pin 4 down to there? Yes. Do I have pin 2 down to here and pin 4 up to there? Okay, all right. First transistor, do I have plus 5 volts to its collector? That's the left side if the flat part is facing you. Okay, so this wire here is going into the collector of the first transistor. Do I have a 10K connecting the base of the first transistor to the pin 2 rail? Yes or no? Okay. Then the yellow wire is connected to, it may be different color for you obviously. The emitter of the first transistor is connected to the collector of the second transistor. Okay? What does the second transistor have on its base? A 10K connected to pin 4. On its base. Okay? Okay, that's where the 1K goes. Okay? All right. On the emitter side of the second transistor, I've got the wire that goes over to my LED. Okay, with the 330 as usual. Okay? And then finally, I've got a 1K that's going to go from the emitter of the second transistor to ground. From the emitter, not the base. Okay, so there again is my diagram for this. Okay, so what I've done is I've wired these two things together in series. Okay, so okay, so what should happen is what is going on mine. Okay, so notice my LED is, how long is it on? 1 second, and how long is it off? 3 seconds. Okay, let's think about why that is the case, or why it should be the case. Okay? So under what condition does full current flow from plus 5 volts through this transistor? If it's on, okay, what makes this transistor be on? Pin 2 has to be on. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so if pin 2 is on, then this transistor current will flow through it. Okay, just a second. Okay, yes or no? Okay. But can current flow through this thing if it gets stopped by the second transistor? No, right? Because there's no circuit then. Okay. Similarly, if pin 4 is on, that would allow current to flow through the second transistor. Okay, and then through the LED and yay. Yes? Okay. So under what circumstances is there a complete circuit from plus 5 volts to ground? Only when both pin 2 and pin 4 are on. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's why we're seeing it on for 1 second and off for 3. Okay, because if we think back, what was the code that we were doing? What were we doing to pins 2 and 4? Alternating who was on and off, right? So we had both on, and that's when the LED is on. If either one, or perhaps both of them were off, what happens to the LED? It's off. Okay? So, under what circumstances is the LED on? Only when pin 2 and, that's the key word here, pin 4 are on. This is an AND gate. Okay. They're in series right now. Then you will have an OR gate. Okay, so, and that's where we're going to kind of continue with this. So, there are lots of different Boolean functions, Boolean operations. Okay, those are things that take in a true-false or possibly several true-false inputs, and they output a true-false thing. Okay, so AND is one of the basic ones. Well, I mean, I guess they're all basic in some sense, right? And you guys know what AND means because we use that word in English. Yeah? Okay, so if I ask who is in computer science and calculus, some hands are going to go up, but not all of them, right? And you guys, do you even really have to think about, well, I'm in calculus, I'm in computer science. Does that mean I'm in both of them? Right, you just do it because you're not idiots. That was kind of weird. Did you guys see it kind of flicker when I snapped my fingers? Okay. I have magic powers. Okay, now, what about OR? If I wired these things in parallel, okay, which we can talk about a little bit later, then the LED would light up if either of the 2 pins were on. And it would also light up if both of them were on. It'd be on for 3 seconds and off for 1, okay, when they were both off, okay? Now, that's OR, but OR in the English language, and we'll talk a little more about this later, really has 2 meanings, okay? So, are you in a computer science class or calculus this semester? All of you should answer yes, because you are in fact here in computer science. Some of you happen also to be in calculus, but does that change whether or not you would still say yes? No? Okay. So that's OR. Now, this summer, I was home, I was visiting my family, and dessert one night, I can have apple pie or I can have chocolate pie. My mom asked, would you like a slice of apple pie or would you like a slice of chocolate pie? What's going to happen if I say, I'd like a slice of both, please? She's going to backhand me, and I'm not going to get any dessert. I'm going to get sent to my room. Well, not really, but okay. So what's the implication when she asked me that question, apple or chocolate? that I can only have one of them, okay? And we use the word or in English to mean both versions of the word or, okay? The inclusive version, which would be, yeah, it's totally fine to be in both math and computer science, and also the exclusive version, which would be like the chocolate versus apple pie, okay? Now, so those are the two meanings of it, and in computing, the first one we'll write or possibly EOR, depending on the context, and the other one will write XOR for exclusive OR. Okay, so if my mother wanted to be technical, she would have said, Colin, would you like apple XOR chocolate pie for desserts? And then I would have known clearly that both is not an acceptable answer. Okay, and if both was an acceptable answer, she would have just said or. Or, Colin, would you like apple or chocolate? Okay, now does anybody say this in speech? No, because you look like a complete idiot. Unless you're in computer science class, in which case XOR is perfectly valid. Okay, so where we're going to go with this, right, is, well, first we need to diagnose why some of your circuits aren't working correctly, okay? And then the second would be, all right, how do we turn this into an OR gate instead of an AND gate? How do we do a negation gate, okay, a NOT gate? How do we do NAND and NOR, which are the negations of AND and OR? Okay, and then the fun one is how do we build an XOR gate? Okay, so that's kind of where we're going with this. And then what we'll kind of do is we'll zoom out, and instead of thinking of this entire complicated circuit, we'll imagine that it's just one single piece that has two inputs and one output. And yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff going on inside of it, but we're going to zoom out to the gate level instead of the transistor level. And then we can zoom out some more as we put lots of gates together, right? And if you do this a bunch, you end up with a full-blown computer. Okay, so does that kind of make sense? Okay, so do not disconnect all your circuit stuff. Okay, don't take it apart. Okay, and for those of you who it wasn't working correctly, we'll take a look at it now. Make sure you write down which bucket number you have. Okay, because we're going to continue doing some of this stuff in class, but you're also going to do some other things out of class. And where do these buckets live? They live in the library at the reserve desk, and they're labeled so you can go up to the handy-dandy library employee and say, hi, I would like to check out bucket number 6, please. And they'll find bucket number 6 and check it out for you. These are not to leave the library without my explicit permission. Okay? I don't want them going back to your living units or whatever. Okay? Just keep it in your bucket, and I'll find wherever I put my extra ones. So if you don't have a resistor chart, you will by in 20 minutes. Okay? All right, we got a quiz, so the next class we get in here. Which bucket numbers are currently not working the way mine are? And I'll take a look at them. Okay, whose buckets do I need to look at? Bucket number, Thomas, what was y'all's? 5, 0, 3, I heard. Any others? Which bucket number? 2. Okay, so the other 4 worked correctly? Yeah, or just or. Yeah, I got yours. Okay. Yeah. That's weird.
But our circuit was correct. So
Okay. So, did you the
it
two?
was the pin mode out. It was being weird. Everything else, top line, when it kept throwing an error for output 2. Basically, the one that said output pin mode 2 or something.
Did you have output all capitalized?
We copied and pasted.
Okay, so then that's weird. Yeah. All right, let me quit the stream. See you guys later.